There's a cost here. Think twice before you continue.
Put it on my credit card.
Remember me?
Hello and welcome to the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast. I'm your host Matthew Perkovich and this is episode number 214. Out this week on DVD and digital is Triple Threat, an action thriller that features some of the best martial arts action scenes you are likely to see this year and features a terrific cast that includes Iko Uwais, Tony Jaa, Scott Adkins, and the man, the legend, and one of my favourite action stars, Michael Jai White, who I'm proud to say joins me today on the podcast. Michael, I thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So I guess my first question is the assemblage of stars that you were working with on this movie, Triple Threat. I mean, I mentioned some of the names, Michael Bisping, Tiger Chen. I'm just curious, when did you join the project? Was there already people on board? Were you one of the first ones? How did it all kind of come together?
Well, it's funny because most of us were friends already, so it wasn't terribly difficult because the producer, one of the producers, Michael Selby, is a friend, and he's like almost like a father figure to Tony Jaa, and my wedding was performed at his house.
Okay.
So he was not only a friend of Tony's, a friend of mine. Iko, we've met several times, and then Michael Bisping. We're all pretty much connected in one degree or another. So it all came together pretty much at the same time.
So, directing the film is Jesse V. Johnson. Now, you've worked with him before on Accident Man. How did he come into the project? Is this a thing where you and Scott Adkins have worked with him before and you knew he was the kind of guy that can do good by this material?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, he was another piece of the puzzle that we all came together at the same time. It's kind of like, here's what's crazy. If it wasn't for this movie, if they happened to come to the States, we'd all be sitting in a restaurant together anyway. You know, with Jesse, myself, Scott, we are legitimately friends. And so when they got put together, it was like, oh wow, okay, this makes sense. And we were pretty much on board before the script was even completed. So, it was kind of a no-brainer.
There's a really interesting development that I've seen over the years with action films. Previously, say 80s and 90s, early 2000s as well, you had the one star that's essential to the film, and he led the film. It was marketed around him. But lately, say over the last decade or so, we're seeing the ensemble action movie. You see all these guys coming together, like how you and Tony and Scott are coming together in this film. Is this a kind of a byproduct of kind of like what's happening with the superhero genre, where they have kind of like a collective of stars as well? Is this kind of like what action filmmaking is today, that you need to have a collection of talent as opposed to the one person leading the film?
Not necessarily. One of the reasons why you might have had only one person leading a film before is sometimes that person has an ego that would not be, commensurate to working with others. Mm-hmm. Sad to say. But in this situation, you've got, like I said, we are friends and we're all supportive of each other. So there was no such thing as that type of ego. Scott will be thinking about a project and he'll send it to me and I'll give him advice, and vice versa. And, about life and our families and everything. So it just makes sense for us working together. Of course, you could have done this movie with three of us, mm-hmm. and it still would have been financed. But the fact that, just like with Accident Man, Scott was, putting it together, and when I found out about it, I willingly came aboard as a supporting character because he's my friend. Yep. And I make friends for life. Yeah, business-wise, normally, you wouldn't see me in a smaller role like that. But this was Scott, so, I didn't help out. So that's kind of how it is. You may not have seen that years ago with some of the people who were leading movies before.
I'm really interested in how it came to the decision on how to pair up all your different actors in regards to the action scenes. Because what's really, I find fascinating about this film is that all of you seem to have come from different martial arts disciplines. Tony Jaa's stuff is different to Iko's to Michael's to yours. When it came to pairing up and doing the different fight scenes with one another, did you look at what styles will mesh better, what personalities will mesh better? How does that kind of decision come about?
Well, some things, unfortunately for me and some of us, sometimes physicality comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm fighting someone like Iko or Tony, well, they're almost 100 pounds smaller than me,
yes,
lighter than I am, and you're not going to see a high kick. You're not going to see a jump. You're not going to see a lot of things because I'm so much bigger and I have to punch down and kick down. And so there's not a lot of room for me doing several other things. I pretty much have to be the crush, kill, destroyer, and it benefits the smaller guy because it's heroic to kick upward or fight against a bigger guy. So I'm accepting of my role as the baddie, but there can't be that much. I just, unfortunately, I can't do very many advanced techniques. You know what I'm saying? So that just goes along with the territory. Now, it doesn't matter what style I'm doing. I'm still much bigger than the guy I'm fighting.
Yeah.
So that kind of dictates. He has to fight a guy that's going to hurt him, and the smaller guy has to be creative to get around that. So therein lies the drama, no matter what style we want to fight.
One thing I've also noticed about action films over the last decade or so, which I think I don't like, is the shaky cam kind of phenomenon. I'm a big fan of action choreography, which is why I love your film so much, why I loved Triple Threat so much, because I can see the kicks, I can see the punches. When it comes to that type of filmmaking style, the kind of shaky cam kind of stuff, what's your kind of take on it? Because to me, while viscerally it brings something cinematically to the table, it takes away from something as well, don't you think?
I totally hate it. I mean, to be blunt, I don't like that at all. I don't like to be taken away from it. I mean, I respect and admire actual, like, I want to feel like the fight is actually happening. Well, I mean, it's the shaky cam stuff and all the editing is because they're shooting around the fact that the person can't do it.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to sell an action thing, my goodness, then, I feel like you're being robbed. I mean, back in the day, even Charles Bronson and, Clint Eastwood, you at least see them fight to some degree. And now there's been an art form because it was done effectively, style-wise, with Bourne Identity.
Mm.
Because, I mean, then the style of the camera work, it kind of fit. And so because that was so successful, I think it kind of set the stage for more of it, even though it was just, it's just, to me, I think it's terrible.
When it comes to putting together an action scene, a choreographed scene, so let's just put into example the fight scene you have with Iko in this movie. What you talked about before, different body types, different styles coming together. How much work is put in pre-production wise to get all that stuff down and get it done right?
No, not much at all.
Okay.
I mean, we've been doing it for a long time. It only requires maybe a half an hour of rehearsal.
Okay.
Maybe, at most 2 hours. But, we've all been doing it so much. It's kind of like a dance, routine. I've done movies in China where you learn the segments of your fight scene like 10 minutes before you shoot it, because it's kind of like a dancer saying, okay, we're going to we got 16 counts. We're gonna, time step. Then we're gonna do this, and that. And you've done it so many times, it's not terribly hard. So yeah, and we all tend to learn choreography really quickly. So it's not terribly hard at all.
That's very interesting, because I always imagined, never been on a set, not seeing this stuff, that there would be something in regards to storyboards or stuff like that. So in your experience, nothing really like that comes up in regards to choreography?
No, not at all. If you look at, there's a movie that Tony Jaa and I did. It was Skin Trade.
Okay.
There's a segment where Tony Jaa and I we go through a slender building, and we're fighting through and smashing stuff, and we go in and we end up going out of this window. That sequence was made up just 10 minutes before we shot it.
Mm.
I got the idea. We looked at the building. It was not even a plan. I said, man, it would be cool if we fought through this building. And just everybody on set just, quieted down. And so he and I just said, okay, what if I do this and I do this? And we created it. Just while we were creating it, they were lighting. And we designed a track on the outside to follow us, to track us while we were going through the building. And that's probably the most exciting part of the fight. And we just did it. Like, we created that, and we did maybe 2 takes of it. So, that's kind of the stuff that excites you when you're working with another very talented, physically talented person like Tony Jaa. I mean, because he's going to hit his mark. He's going to, it's just like kind of like 2 band members just, kind of working off each other.
Kind of like jazz in a sort of way.
Created. Is that?
Kind of like jazz music in a sort of way, just riffing off each other.
Exactly. I mean, I've done some of my favorite stuff. There's segments in Falcon Rising that it was made up, where that we were pretty much like this guy Sam Locke. He's a really skillful stunt guy, where we created an actual sparring segment with weapons that it's unfolding while you're looking at it. And, so there's some of that stuff that is some of the best stuff.
Michael, you've had a career of really great on-screen adversaries, ranging from Van Damme, Steven Seagal, so many different guys you've gone up against on screen. I mentioned before in this film, Triple Threat, you're going up against Iko in a really great fight scene. When I first watched The Raid, and I'm sure with yourself and everyone else, when we first watched The Raid, and that's the first time we laid eyes on Iko, that's a film where we've seen an action star born right in front of us. This will be, you've worked with Scott before, you've worked with Tony before, this is the first time you work with Iko. I'm pretty sure it's the first time you worked with Iko. What was it like working with him, and what do you think his ascent will be like? Because he's breaking into the American market now with Mile 22 last year. I have a feeling that he has the potential to be a real big star, not only internationally, but for Western audiences as well.
Yeah, I feel the same way. He just needs the right vehicle. Iko, to me, has done the best choreography in the last decade easily. His stuff he's done with The Raid and The Raid Redemption is the standard to me. That is the epitome of action martial arts stuff. I don't see anything knocking that out anytime soon. And so on set, I'm just juicing him for knowledge, because he's the one that really choreographed that stuff. You normally don't see the performer and choreographer together. Like, he's doing both, and it's just such a masterful job. He has to know the angles and how just the language of action, you know, that's just fascinating. It's on another level. So, I mean, again, like I say, he's got to find the right vehicle, and I think that takes him to just like the stratosphere.
Michael, when it comes to choices of roles, you're such a prolific actor. As we speak right now, you have Triple Threat out, The Hard Ways on Netflix. In Australia, we're going to have Dragged Across Concrete come out in August. So you'll always have material out there. When it comes to choosing your roles, what's a criteria that you abide by?
Well, I mean, I enjoy things that are going to test me. Dragged Across Concrete, you know, with Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn, I play a character that I've not played before. A lot of times I play the intimidating or the tough guy. I play a very sympathetic character who's found himself on, kind of bitten off more than he could chew. Mm. So, it's about the human experience and, you know, me growing as a performer. I know large part of the world is going to see me as the martial arts guy. That's something that I'll always be connected with. But, you know, I'm an actor, and because people tend to try to pigeonhole you, that is what they tend to do, you know, I'll continue to keep breaking out of that mold. And, finding things that challenge me. I've got some really interesting roles coming up, and, you know, I've always had a diversity of movies and television shows. And a lot of people would be surprised, but I've done more comedy throughout my career than anything else.
Yep.
But, you know, I mean, I've done 160 episodes as the lead in a romantic, a sitcom, you know, here in the States. And so, you know, and then several movies that had the comedy quotient as the main part of my characters. But you know, when you kick people in the head, that tends to wash a lot of that stuff out of people's brains. But you know, I'll continue to keep it diverse.
One of my favorite roles I've seen you do lately that isn't based in the martial arts world was in Making a Killing, which was this fascinating true life story. It's like a true crime film. And you played I think it was like a sheriff in it, Orlando Hudson, I think the name of the character was. And what I really enjoyed about that film is that, for me, as someone who's watched your career over the years, I'm watching you put in a terrific performance, a captivating performance, and hardly a punch is thrown. And I think that really goes about how you've come across as an actor over the last 10 years or so, or longer. When it comes to playing a role like that in a movie like that, for me, I could see like franchise possibilities for a movie like that. I love to see this character that you play because it's kind of like a mix of cop, a mix of cowboy. It's got your own humor. You bring a sense of humor to it as well. I mean, roles like that I think are really terrific. What was it like working on that film? And is that the type of roles that you are kind of seeking outside of the martial arts world?
Yes, that's the kind of thing where I get to play parts of who I am.
Yep.
Most actors tend to pretty much play themselves, and I haven't had that luxury in my career. I'm a bit of an eclectic individual, and usually when you're doing a supporting role or what have you, you're picking one direction, and you know you're either the baddie to some degree, or you know there's usually one attribute that you're known for. But now roles like Making a Killing, those are the things I tend to feel like I can make my mark about because it's got the sensibilities that I have as an individual, and you know, is a character who's tough, but he looks at life as in a similar way that I do, and the humor is not left behind. We laugh a lot every day, and we find things that to take light, and so I want people to feel like they're watching the human being, and a lot of ways they're watching bits of themselves. So, they forget about their lives for a while and take the ride on this movie that I'm part of. And so I really enjoy making a killing, and I'd love to do more things like that.
Yeah, well, it was a terrific role and a terrific performance. Another movie that a lot of people really love, and myself included, which was released 10 years ago, actually, was Black Dynamite. And that's a film I think really brought together a lot of different elements of you as well. There's been talk about a kind of like a spiritual sequel, Outlaw Johnny Black. What type of updates can you give us in regards to that? I remember there was a crowdfunding campaign a couple of years ago. What type of progress is happening with that project?
Well, there was an offer to finance the entire film. Soon as we started the crowdfunding campaign, which we then turned into a crowd engagement campaign, really. So it wasn't really about the funding because, to where we understood that the funding was coming in anyway. And so it was about letting people know what was out there, and we had some fun with the with getting T-shirts and all these different items, but the funding fell through. So since then, there have been some other proposals and a few companies that have made proposals who I feel didn't quite understand. And I learned a lot doing Black Dynamite, and I definitely do not want to enter into an agreement with a company that doesn't understand the crowd base, or really just kind of just using it to just make money and not put it out there to the masses the correct way. I wanted to start this fun campaign. I want this engagement. I want a really quality movie. Nowadays, sometimes they just think about the money aspect, which is why I wanted to do it independently anyway. So we're hoping to get that done, and we're still speaking to people that we want to be in business with. It's not for me. It's about the quality and not necessarily the quantity. And I want to work with people that I'm going to work with in the future. So it's just about being with good people, because there's a lot of jerks out here, and I don't want to work with those type of people anymore.
Was that part of the reason why you started your own production company, Gigantic Studios, so you can have a say in who you want to work with and even develop your own content?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you have a core group of people who have integrity and have standards that they want to work in an honest way, honest fashion, and you can navigate around the charlatans. I'd much rather work that way, and I've made a lot of happy investors or studio people happy by doing movies all around the globe that were, that they can line their pockets with. So I did that. So, so a time like now, I can then share that money with my own investors, and we benefit from what's been put out. So that's the plan.
Final question. I am a big fan of your YouTube channel. Myself, I attend a martial arts gym here in Sydney for the last several years, and yourself being one of my favorite martial arts action stars, when I found out that you had your own YouTube channel and you're putting out these great videos, not only instructional about the physical side of stuff, but also philosophical, I just ate up everything that you have on there. And to me, the possibilities are endless of what you can do with this. Are you thinking of expanding more into that territory? Are we thinking app? Are we thinking maybe podcast? Is that something that you might look into the future to kind of expand what you've been doing with the YouTube stuff?
Well, letting you know, that's exactly what's happening. If you like what's been on that channel thus far, you're about to get a real surprise, because I have, in the last number of months, have organized and actually have shot a lot of content, and I'm continuing to do so. And I should be launching the new updated version within the next couple of weeks, you're going to see probably a quality that's 5 times what you've seen. So before, what you saw was in response of fans, and I would take their feedback, and then I create a video, and then so now I've been meeting with companies. I've been putting together my own nutritional program, even things to where, for myself, that even with nutrition, I've had to put together, even for myself, like different parts of protein powders so I can make the perfect one. Well, now I'm actually going into labs and developing my own formula that I will then use. And so there's a lot of my method of martial arts, self-defense, fitness, nutrition, that I'm going to be sharing with the world. And, I feel it's time that I feel like I owe a lot to my fan base. And I've always intended on doing this, and I finally found the time to do it. So now what you're going to see is, from start to finish, a much more organized site. And for the subscribers, they're going to really be seeing a great deal. And now it's all thought out and not as piecemeal like it was before.
Well, I know I can speak for so many of your fans. We can't wait to see this happen and see it released. But for everyone else out there, Triple Threat, you don't have to wait for that. That's out this week, DVD and digital. It's a terrific action movie, one of the best action films I've seen this year, and one of the reasons why is my guest, Michael Jai White. Michael, I thank you very, very much for joining me today. As I said, I'm such a big fan of your work, and it's been terrific to talk to you today.
Well, thank you. It was great talking to you. I hope to be speaking to you in the future.